Imagine standing in your own living room, holding a phone that suddenly feels heavier than it ever has before. You dial your son's number, your heart light, your voice ready to smile through the words, "Max, when's the wedding?" But before Max can even answer, his wife Lena looks straight at you. Her lips curve into a smile so cold it could freeze the room. "Oh, we already got married yesterday," she says. "We only invited special people." Those four words fall like shards of glass. Only special people. You stand there trying to breathe, but the air has turned to ice. You think of the rent you've paid every month for 3 years, $500 without fail. The furniture you bought for their home. The groceries you carried up the stairs so they wouldn't go hungry. You remember every thank you that felt more like an obligation than love. And now, suddenly, you're not a special person. You glance toward the closet where your pale pink dress hangs, the one you bought for that wedding. $200, perfect shoes to match. You imagine smiling in the photos, your son's arm around you, both of you shining in the moment that was supposed to mean family. But that dress will never leave its hanger. You look at Max, your only son. He can't even meet your eyes. Lena is already settling into your sofa, the sofa you paid for. Her hand drapes lazily across the armrest as if she owns it. In that moment, the distance between you and your son feels greater than the miles between hearts that no longer recognize each other. You hear his voice, quiet, rehearsed. "Mom, it was an intimate thing, very small, just the two of us and the witnesses. But you know the truth. You've seen the photos." Her parents there toasting champagne, her siblings laughing. You scroll through social media, each picture a new stab of betrayal. Every smile, every caption, a confirmation that you were never meant to be there. They called it love, but it was convenience. They called it family, but it was use. That night, you sit in the dark and feel the weight of years, of kindness mistaken for weakness. You think about every time you've gone without so they could have more. Every bill you paid before paying your own. Every time you told yourself that love means giving endlessly. But love, real love, doesn't make you invisible. When the phone rings again a week later, it's Lena's voice. Gone is the arrogance. Now there's tremor, desperation. "Renate, the rent is overdue. The landlord is pressuring us. You forgot to make the transfer." You don't answer right away. You let the silence stretch between you, heavy, deliberate. You remember every month you ran to the bank. Every plan you canceled. Every sacrifice you made so they could live comfortably while you lived quietly. And then, calm as the stillness before a storm, you say, "Lena, didn't I tell you I only help special people?" Silence, a silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat. For the first time in years, it isn't you trembling. It's her. That's the moment something shifts inside you. Something long buried beneath guilt, motherhood, and the fear of being alone. It's small at first, just a whisper. But it grows louder, stronger, clearer. A whisper from your soul saying, "Enough." You don't know it yet. But this phone call, this quiet defiance, is the beginning of the day you choose yourself. And this is where everything changes. Morning light filters through the curtains, soft and pale, like a hesitant apology for the night before. You wake up, but you don't move. You just lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the echo of yesterday sitting heavy on your chest. It's strange how silence can have a sound, a deep, hollow hum that fills the spaces where laughter used to be. You can hear your own breath. You can hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. You can hear the pulse of your own regret. You think about all the years that brought you here, the choices that seemed so small at the time. A few dollars sent one month. A loan you never expected to be repaid. A favor that quietly became a habit. Every act of love that turned into obligation. Every thank you, Mom, that slowly faded into you owe us. And you realize it didn't happen overnight. It happened drop by drop, your kindness poured out until there was nothing left for you. You sit up slowly, your hands trembling as you reach for your robe. It still smells faintly of detergent, the same brand you used for Max when he was little. He loved the smell of clean clothes. You used to fold his shirts carefully, tucking them into drawers that smelled like safety and home. Now those same hands that once held him when he cried are shaking with a different kind of ache, the ache of a mother learning she has given too much. You make coffee the same way you've done every morning for 40 years. The mug is chipped on one side, but you still use it. It's familiar, it's yours. You sit at the kitchen table, the one where you planned birthdays, Christmas dinners, and someday weddings that would never happen. The table where you counted bills and convinced yourself it was just temporary, that one day he'd give back. You take a sip, and the warmth burns just enough to remind you you're still alive. You open the drawer beside you and pull out your checkbook. For a long moment, you just stare at it, that small book filled with the proof of your love. Each line a memory, each number a sacrifice. Rent, groceries, furniture, medical emergencies. Love written in ink over and over again. You start to do the math, not because you want to punish yourself, but because you need to see it, to feel the weight of it in numbers, not just in your heart. $500 a month for 3 years, $18,000. Food, about $200 a month, another $7,000. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, $3,000 more. Repairs, emergencies, favors, it adds up fast. $33,400. You whisper it out loud, the number sounds like betrayal. You let it sit in the air, raw and unfiltered. 33,400. That's the price of your silence. The price of your love. The price of being taken for granted. You look around the house, the sofa they sat on, the dishes they used, the tiny reminders of all the times you said yes when you wanted to say no. You realize your home has become a museum of your generosity, every corner telling a story of giving and giving until you disappeared inside it. You set the checkbook down and take a deep breath. Something is stirring inside you, not anger, not yet, something quieter, heavier. Clarity. You realize you've been living your life like a supporting character in someone else's story. And for what? For love, for family, for the illusion of belonging. You whisper to yourself, barely audible. What about me? It's a fragile question. It feels almost wrong to ask, as if mothers aren't supposed to think of themselves. But it lingers there, trembling in the air, refusing to disappear. You walk to the mirror. The woman staring back at you looks tired. Her eyes carry the weight of sleepless nights and broken hopes. But there's something new in that reflection, a faint light behind the exhaustion. Not youth, not joy, something else. Resolve. You touch your own face gently, as if you're meeting yourself for the first time in decades. And you whisper again, this time with strength. I am special. Not because you gave. Not because you sacrificed. But because you are. The thought feels foreign, and yet it fits. Outside, a bird lands on the window ledge. It sings, small and unafraid. You take it as a sign, a quiet reminder that life still happens, even after heartbreak. You pour the rest of your coffee down the sink and wash the mug clean. The water runs warm against your hands. It feels like a cleansing. You stand there a long time, watching the water swirl down the drain and think. This isn't the end of your story. This is the first morning of your freedom. And tomorrow you'll decide what that means. The morning after clarity always feels different. The air is lighter, though nothing in the house has changed. The walls still echo the same silence. The clock still ticks with the same rhythm, but you are different. You sit at the kitchen table again, your old checkbook still lying there, open like a wound that's begun to heal. You trace your finger over the last entry you ever made for them, rent for the month before the wedding. You can still hear Lena's voice that day, sweet and rehearsed. You're like a second mom to me, Renate. Now the words sound hollow. They used affection like currency, and you, too kind to notice, kept paying the price. You pick up the phone. For years, that phone has been a lifeline, a connection to your son, your only family. Now it's just an object. You scroll through your contacts until you find Max. You stare at his name for a long time, your thumb hovering over it. Then slowly, deliberately, you delete it. It doesn't feel cruel. It feels necessary. The world doesn't collapse. The roof doesn't fall. There's just quiet, a strange, peaceful kind of quiet that you realize you haven't felt in years. You open the curtains wide, letting the sunlight flood the room. For the first time, it doesn't expose the loneliness. It illuminates the freedom. You walk to your closet, the same one where your pink dress still hangs, untouched. You run your hand over the fabric. It's beautiful, soft, delicate, filled with memories of hope. You think of all the times you imagined wearing it, standing proudly beside your son, smiling for photos that would never exist. Then you take it down, fold it carefully, and place it into a donation box. Someone else can make a memory in it. You're done waiting for the moments that never come. You move through your house like a woman reclaiming her space. You pick up framed pictures, dusting off the ones that matter, your husband's smile, your sister's laughter, your younger self holding baby Max. You set those aside. The rest, the ones where Lena stands at the center, pretending to belong, you put away in a drawer. Not thrown out, not destroyed, just set aside. Because forgiveness doesn't always come through rage. Sometimes it begins with quiet distance. Later that morning, you dress yourself neatly, not for anyone, not for visitors or errands, but for you. A soft blue blouse, pressed trousers, your hair brushed back. You look at yourself in the mirror again. You don't see a mother, you don't see a provider. You see a woman rediscovering who she was before she forgot herself. You pick up your purse and your car keys. You're not sure where you're going, but you know you need to go somewhere. Someplace that isn't tied to duty or guilt. Someplace that belongs to you. You drive without a plan, the road stretching out ahead like possibility. At a red light, you catch your reflection in the mirror. Your eyes are different now. Steady, focused, alive. You end up at the bank. Of all places, it feels ironic, the very building where you used to transfer your love into their accounts. The teller greets you with a polite smile, but when the branch manager, Mr., recognizes you, he waves you into his office. He's known you for years. He's processed every transaction, every $500, every emergency transfer, every piece of your quiet generosity. He smiles kindly. Mrs., he says, what can I do for you today? You take a deep breath. Your voice doesn't shake. Mister, I'd like to cancel all automatic transfers to my son's account. He looks surprised, almost concerned. Are you sure, Mrs.? It's been so regular, every month like clockwork. You nod. I'm sure. He hesitates, then asks softly, did something happen? You smile, not bitterly, not sadly, just truthfully. What happened is that I finally opened my eyes. He doesn't ask more. He just nods, understanding something deeper than words. While he processes the cancellations, your phone begins to ring. You don't even have to look at it. You already know the name flashing on the screen. You let it ring once, twice, 3 times, and stop. 10 minutes later, it rings again. You let it go to voicemail. Mr. returns with papers. All done, he says, and Mrs., for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. It's a strange thing to hear that from a stranger who's seen your pain only through bank statements. You thank him, and when you walk out into the daylight, you feel lighter than you have in years. The sun feels warm on your skin. The sky looks wider. Freedom has a texture, and you can finally feel it. You drive home slowly, as if afraid to break the spell. And when you park in front of your house, you don't rush to check your phone or your messages. You just sit there for a while, your hands resting calmly on the steering wheel. You're not running errands. You're not fixing anyone's problem. You're just existing peacefully, purposefully for yourself. Inside the house, the silence greets you again, but this time it's not empty. It's sacred and it's yours. You put the papers from the bank on the table beside your coffee mug. Then you look around, and for the first time, you think, maybe this is what power feels like. You don't smile right away. You just let the thought settle deep and steady. Outside, a breeze passes through the window, brushing against the curtains. The world feels different now, not because it's changed, but because you have. The rebellion has begun. And it started not with shouting, but with silence. You wake up earlier than usual. The sun hasn't yet found its way through the curtains, and the house is wrapped in a gray quiet, that gentle calm that exists just before the world begins to move. For years, mornings were a rush of obligation. Coffee for strength, phone calls for peace, bank transfers for love. Now the quiet feels like a companion. You sip your coffee slowly, not as fuel, but as comfort. And then you see them, 3 cars parked in front of your house. Your stomach tightens. You know those cars. Max's, Lena, and one unfamiliar. For a moment, you think it's a mistake, that maybe they're just passing by. But as you look closer, you see movement inside. You say them. You see your son's bowed head and Lena's sharp gestures. And that third person, a stranger in a gray suit, flipping through papers on your dining table. Your dining table. Your house. Your life. You feel a coldness crawl through you, but it's not fear this time. It's anger, controlled, aware, steady. You step out of the car, your keys clenched tight in your hand, and walk to the front door. Each step feels heavier, like the floor is testing your resolve. You open the door, and what you see freezes time. Lena packing, her voice tight with panic. Max sitting on your sofa, head in his hands, pretending to be ashamed. And that man going through your papers like they belong to him. What is happening here, you ask, your voice louder than you expect. All 3 turn toward you as if you are the intruder. Lena's face shifts quickly, from guilt to fake relief. "Oh, thank God you're here, Renate," she says, her tone dripping with performance. "This is Mr. from the law firm we consulted about your situation." You blink. "My situation." Her voice softens into a rehearsed kind of pity. "Yes, we're worried about you. You've been acting differently." Then Max finally speaks. "Mom," he says with that same condescending tone you used to mistake for concern, "we just want to help you. You've been making strange decisions lately, cutting us off, not answering calls." You take a slow step forward, every movement deliberate. "I'm doing perfectly fine," you reply, "and you have no right to go through my personal things." The lawyer, Mr., steps forward with a calm smile. "Mrs., I understand this must be upsetting, but your children have the right to intervene if they believe your financial decisions are impaired." That word, impaired, burns through you. It's not just an insult, it's an accusation. It's the first stone in a wall they're trying to build around your freedom. You feel your hands steady on the back of a chair. "Impaired," you repeat quietly. "I've managed my own life for 71 years. I've paid every bill, every debt, every mistake that wasn't even mine, and now you think I've forgotten how to think." Lena moves closer, her tone dripping in artificial warmth. "Renate, please, we're just worried. Maybe the loneliness is affecting you. At your age, confusion is." "Stop." Your voice slices through the room like glass breaking. You take a step forward, the air around you suddenly sharp and still. "I am not confused, I am not lonely, and I am certainly not incompetent." The lawyer clears his throat. "Mrs., they're only trying to protect your interests. We've even prepared a power of attorney that would allow Max and Lena to manage your finances until..." Before he can finish, you walk over, take the folder from his hand, and without a single glance, drop it into the trash can beside you. The sound of the papers hitting the metal is small, but it echoes like thunder. "Get out," you say quietly. "Renate, please." "I said get out of my house." Lena starts crying, the same manipulative tears that once made you soften. You don't move. You just look at her. Her tears aren't sorrow, they're rage. The kind of rage that comes from losing control over the person they've been feeding on. Max stands, his jaw tight, his voice rising. Mom, this is ridiculous. We have obligations, the rent, the car, the credit card you co-signed. You can't just. Who says I? Your voice grows firm, clear, alive. For years, I paid for your life while you treated me like a stranger. You used my money, my time, my love, and when I said no, you decided I was broken. The lawyer interjects again, but you don't even look at him. You're focused on your son. The little boy who once held your hand in the park is gone, replaced by a man who sees you as a wallet that breathes. Lena's voice trembles with anger. You can't do this to us, Renate. We were counting on you. Everything you have will be ours one day anyway. And there it is. The truth, naked and cruel. They weren't here for you. They were here for what you owned. You nod slowly, as if confirming something to yourself. You're right, you say softly. Everything I have would have been yours one day, but not anymore. You open the door and point to it. Out. Max glares at you, his eyes full of the kind of hatred you never thought your son could hold. This is going to end badly for you, he spits. You'll end up alone. You look at him, steady and calm. I already am, you reply. The difference is now it's by choice. They leave, all three of them, their footsteps heavy, their anger thick. When the door closes behind them, the silence that follows is deafening. But this time, it's not the silence of loss. It's the silence of victory. You sit down at the table where they had tried to take your life apart. You look at the trash can, the papers still inside, and a small smile forms on your lips. You whisper to yourself, "Not anymore." Outside, the cars pull away one by one. The street grows quiet again. And for the first time in years, your home feels like yours. That night, you can't sleep. Not because you're afraid, but because adrenaline still hums in your blood, the raw electricity of reclaiming something that was always yours, control. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, your mind racing with clarity. You know they'll come back. You know this isn't over. But this time, you're not the frightened mother they can manipulate. You're the woman they underestimated. And as you drift into restless sleep, one truth burns in your chest like a promise. They may take everything else, but they will never take me again. Next morning, sunlight pours into the room, bright, uninvited, insistent. It feels different now, as if the world itself has shifted just slightly, tilting in your favor for the first time in years. You lie in bed for a few quiet moments, your heart still heavy but your spirit strangely light. The house feels like it's breathing again, like it's finally exhaling all the tension it has held for too long. You get up, make coffee, and stand by the window. The street outside is still. The air smells faintly of rain and freedom. You know what you need to do today. You've lived too long in a house that anyone could walk into, a life where everyone else had a key, but you never truly did. It's time to lock the world out. You dress neatly, pull your coat around you, and step out into the cool morning air. At the hardware store, the bell above the door jingles like a small celebration. The man behind the counter, Mr. Summer, looks up, smiling. Morning, Mrs. Another repair for Max and Lena. For a moment, the old reflex almost answers yes. But you stop yourself, standing a little taller. No, you say, your voice calm and sure. This time it's for me. I need new locks, the best ones you have. He raises his eyebrows, surprised but respectful. Good choice, he says. You want me to send to install them? Yes, please, you reply. And while he's here, I'd like to add a security system. Cameras, alarms, the full set. Mr. Summer nods, sensing the gravity in your tone. We'll take care of you, he says softly. On your way home, you feel something unfamiliar, not guilt, not worry, it's power. The kind that comes from knowing you're finally protecting yourself instead of everyone else. By the afternoon arrives a kind young man with tools and quiet respect. He gets to work without asking unnecessary questions. You watch him change the locks one by one. The sound of the old bolts unscrewing is almost musical. Each click of a new lock feels like closure. Each camera mounted feels like justice. When he's done, he hands you a small remote. Everything's connected, he says. If anyone tries to come in without permission, you'll know immediately. You take it from him carefully, holding it like a symbol not of fear, but of control. For the first time, your safety belongs to you. After he leaves, the house feels different. The silence is still there, but it no longer feels hollow. It feels protected. You walk through every room slowly, the kitchen, the hallway, your bedroom, touching walls that once echoed with uninvited footsteps. Now they belong to you again. You sit down on your couch, the one you once watched Lena stretch across like a queen, and laugh quietly. Not a bitter laugh, but one of realization. You finally see how far you've come. But the peace doesn't last long. Your phone rings. An unknown number. You hesitate, then answer. Renate, it's Lena. Her voice is smaller this time, fragile, almost trembling. You don't speak, you just listen. We need to talk, please don't hang up. You wait. The rent is overdue again, she says quickly. The landlord's threatening to kick us out. You forgot to make the transfer. That word again, forgot. As if generosity were your obligation, not your choice. Lena, you say slowly, your tone calm but cold. I didn't forget, I stopped. There's silence on the line, the kind of silence that swallows air. You can't be serious, she whispers. We're family. Family doesn't break into my home, you reply. Family doesn't bring lawyers to steal what isn't theirs. Her voice trembles. We made a mistake, we were desperate. Please, you've always helped us, just one more time. You take a deep breath, you almost feel pity, almost. But pity has been your prison for too long. Do you remember what you told me the day I asked about your wedding? You ask softly. You can almost hear her heart skip. Only special people, you remind her. Those were your words. Renate, that was. You cut her off. I only help special people, Lena. This time you mean it. The line goes dead. You sit there for a moment, staring at the phone, and something inside you settles. The ache doesn't vanish, but it transforms from pain into strength. Later that day, you sit by the window with a pen and paper, something you haven't done in years. You begin to write not letters to your son or lists of bills, but notes to yourself. Promises, truths. I am not their safety net. I am not their excuse. I am not their weakness. You keep writing until the words blur with tears, not of sadness, but of release. When the sun sets, your house glows softly under the golden light. The cameras hum quietly outside, the locks gleam new and untouched. For the first time in years, you feel safe, not just in your home, but in your decision. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the years of sacrifice and silence, you whisper to yourself, this is what freedom sounds like. The hum of security, the echo of your own heartbeats, the stillness of a life that finally belongs to you. Days pass in a rhythm you're still learning to trust. You drink coffee in the morning without checking your phone. You walk outside without scanning for emergencies. You sit with your own thoughts and realize how unfamiliar it feels to be free. But you also know freedom has a price. And Max and Lena aren't done. Your phone buzzes again and again, numbers you don't recognize, voicemails you don't listen to. Sometimes you catch their car parked across the street. Sometimes you see them driving slowly past like predators circling prey. They're not calling to apologize, they're circling because the money has stopped. One afternoon, while watering the plants on your windowsill, you hear the doorbell. You check the camera feed on your phone, the best decision you ever made. On the screen stands a woman you don't know, neatly dressed, holding a folder, her professional smile carefully arranged. You answer the door anyway, keeping the chain latched. Good morning, Mrs., she says, showing you an ID. I'm Mrs., a social investigator from the Office of Senior Services. We've received a report that you may be in an at-risk situation. and we need to conduct a wellness check. Your blood runs cold. Max and Lena have escalated. It's no longer just voicemails, no longer just lawyers. Now they've brought the government into it. Can I see your ID again? You ask quietly. She shows it, it's genuine. She's not a scammer. She's here because someone wrote a report full of lies. I'd like to call my lawyer before answering any questions, you tell her. Ma'am, she says smoothly, this isn't a legal interrogation. It's just a wellness check. If you have nothing to hide, it shouldn't be a problem to speak with me. The phrase stings like a slap, if you have nothing to hide. The same tactic abusers use to justify invading your privacy. You dial Mr. Weber immediately. He answers on the second ring. Stay calm, he says. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Mrs. sits on your sofa while you wait, flipping through her papers with a small frown. You study her carefully, not as an enemy, but as a person who's been fed a story. When Mr. Weber arrives, his presence fills the room like a shield. Miss, he says, his voice cool, I hope you have a court order to be here. My client is under my legal representation, and any unauthorized investigation constitutes harassment. She stiffens. We received reports from concerned family members about her well-being. It's our duty to investigate. What family? Mr. Weber asks sharply. The same family that tried to pressure her into signing over her finances. The same family that broke into her house. The same family that excluded her from her son's wedding while living off her money. He opens his briefcase and places a thick folder on the coffee table. Here is documentation of my client's financial and emotional abuse. $33,400 withdrawn over 3 years. Systematic social exclusion. Emotional blackmail. If someone here needs to be investigated, it is not my client. Mrs. flips through the documents, her expression slowly changing from authority to discomfort. Mrs., she says finally, do you manage your own finances completely? I do, you reply steadily. Would you like to see my bank statements, my tax records? Everything is in order. Do you live independently? I clean my own house, I cook my own meals, I drive my own car, I have healthy relationships with my neighbors. I don't take any medications beyond vitamins. I am 71, not senile. Mr. Weber adds, my client has a full medical and psychiatric evaluation. She is in excellent mental and physical condition. Mrs. Shoulders slump just slightly. Based on the lies she was told, she expected to find a confused old woman. Instead, she's staring at a calm, competent woman who has simply stopped funding 2 adults. She closes her folder. Mrs., she says, based on this conversation and the documentation I've reviewed, I see no indication that you're at risk or in need of intervention. I'll close this case. When she leaves, Mr. Weber turns to you. They're desperate, he says quietly. They're spending money. They don't have to try to have you declared incompetent. This was only their first move. You stand there, the door still warm from where Mrs. touched it, and let his words sink in. Desperate. That's what they've become. You think of Max, your sweet boy with scraped knees and sticky fingers, now a man plotting to strip you of your dignity. You think of Lena, the young woman you tried to love like a daughter, now orchestrating a campaign to steal what isn't hers. Something inside you hardens, not into bitterness but into resolve. They want a war, you say softly. I'll give them one, but not with anger, with intelligence. Mr. Weber nods. Exactly. We'll document everything, every call, every visit, every manipulation. We'll change your will. We'll lock everything down. You're not alone. That night, you sit at your kitchen table again, but this time you're not crying. You're making a plan. Your pen moves across the paper in slow, deliberate strokes. Change locks, done. Install cameras, done. Cancel transfers, done. Lawyer retained, done. Document everything, ongoing. You look at the list and feel something like strength bloom in your chest. They thought you were weak. They thought you were old. They thought you were confused. But you're not. You're awake. And now, finally, you're ready. You close your notebook, turn off your phone, and look around your quiet house. Outside, the security lights glow softly in the night. This isn't fear anymore. This is preparation. You whisper to yourself the words a promise and a shield. I will not be their victim, not anymore. And for the first time in weeks, you sleep, not the shallow, restless sleep of someone waiting for the next demand, but the deep, solid sleep of someone who's drawing the first battle lines of her freedom. The morning of the trial arrives like a held breath, still, cold, fragile. You wake before dawn, sitting on the edge of your bed in the same black suit you laid out the night before. It's simple, elegant, strong, a uniform for war fought with words, not weapons. When you look in the mirror, you barely recognize yourself. Your back is straight, your eyes steady, there's no tremor in your hands anymore. The woman staring back at you is not the mother who waited by the phone. She's the survivor who has nothing left to lose. Mr. Weber picks you up at 7. Neither of you talk much on the drive, there's nothing left to say. The plan is clear, the evidence is solid. But this is still your son, and that is the quiet ache beneath the armor. At the courthouse doors, you stop for a moment. The building looms over you, gray and severe, but it doesn't intimidate you. You've already walked through darker places, your own home, your own heart. Inside, the air is heavy with whispers. You see them sitting across the room, Max in a new suit, Lena dressed in black, eyes hollow but defiant. For a heartbeat, your gaze meets your son's. There is no recognition, only distance, like two strangers who once shared a memory. The judge enters, the trial begins. Their lawyer speaks first. His voice is smooth, practiced, he's done this before. He paints a picture of a confused, lonely old woman manipulated by outsiders. He uses words like decline, vulnerability, protection. Every sentence feels like a cage being built around you. But you stay still, hands folded, calm. Because you know the truth, and truth doesn't shout, it waits. Then Lena takes the stand. Her tears fall on cue, soft and convincing. Your Honor, she says, voice trembling, Renate has always been like a second mother to me, but she's changed. She's withdrawn. She's paranoid. We're afraid she's not well. Mr. Weber rises. His cross-examination is quiet but surgical. Mrs., he says evenly, when was the last time you called my client without asking for money? Lena hesitates. I don't remember. Is it true you excluded her from your wedding? It was a small ceremony. Did you or did you not tell her she wasn't invited because she was special people? The courtroom goes still. Her lips tremble. Those words were taken out of context, she whispers. Mr. Weber tilts his head. What context would make them kind? She has no answer. Then it's Max's turn. Seeing him swear to tell the truth breaks something inside you, but you hold your posture. He repeats the same story, that you've grown unstable, that you're under the influence of strangers. When Mr. Weber questions him, his voice remains calm. Mister, how much money have you received from your mother in the last 3 years? Max shifts, I don't know, maybe a few thousand. $33,400, Weber says, placing documents on the table. Does that refresh your memory? Max doesn't respond. And during this time, did you ever visit her without asking for money? Silence. Did you or your wife ever break into her home? We were worried about her, Max snaps. Worried enough to bring a lawyer to make her sign over her finances. Max's jaw tightens. We were trying to help. Mr. Weber nods, his tone calm. A remarkable kind of help, one that only seems to begin where the money ends. When it's your turn to testify, the courtroom feels like the inside of a held breath. You walk slowly to the stand, each step echoing softly in the silence. You take the oath. Then Mr. Weber says, Mrs., please tell the court why you chose to stop supporting your son and daughter-in-law. You look at your hands for a moment, then lift your gaze toward the judge. Because I finally understood that what I was giving wasn't love, it was payment. My money was welcome. My presence was not. I wasn't a mother to them. I was a resource, and I've decided to stop being used. The words hang in the air like a confession and a liberation. You don't cry, you don't plead, you just speak. And every word feels like reclaiming a piece of yourself they thought they'd taken. The other lawyer tries to rattle you during cross-examination. Mrs., he says, don't you think your new friends have influenced your decisions? You smile faintly. No, sir, they reminded me I have the right to make them. He presses again. Wouldn't you say cutting off your family was extreme? I didn't cut them off, you answer. They walked away the moment my money stopped walking with them. A quiet murmur ripples through the room. Even the judge's pen stops moving. Mr. Weber's closing argument is brief but devastating. He doesn't raise his voice, he doesn't dramatize. He just lays the truth bare. Your Honor, this is not a case about mental capacity. It's about greed disguised as concern. The plaintiffs are not seeking to protect Mrs., they're seeking to profit from her. He rests his hand on the table. This woman raised her son alone. She worked, she saved, she gave, until giving nearly erased her. All she's done now is reclaim what's hers, her money, her peace, her dignity. The courtroom is silent when he sits down. Even Max can't meet your eyes. The judge leaves to deliberate. 2 hours pass like 2 lifetimes. You wait, hands clasped, the ticking clock the only sound in the room. When the door opens again, the judge's expression tells you everything before he speaks. After reviewing all evidence, he says, it is the court's finding that Mrs. Renate is in full possession of her mental faculties. Her financial decisions are rational and within her legal rights. The petition for guardianship is. The words fall like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. You don't cry, you just breathe deeply, freely. Across the room, Lena's face hardens and Max stares at the floor, lost in the ruins of his own choices. You rise, collect your papers, and walk out of the courtroom without looking back. Outside, the air smells of rain and victory. That night, you don't celebrate with champagne or music. You make tea, light a candle, and sit by the window. You write a letter not to them, but to yourself. Dear Renate, you did it. You chose yourself. You learned that love without respect is just dependency in disguise. You learned that silence can protect and boundaries can heal. You learned that being alone isn't the same as being unloved. You fold the letter and place it in a box beside your husband's photo. He would have been proud. 3 months later, you sell the house and move to a quiet apartment near the city. You donate part of your savings to organizations that protect the elderly from abuse. You start painting again: blue skis, open roads, faces of women who found their strength too late, and those who found it just in time. Sometimes when you look up from your easel, you catch your reflection in the window, soft lines, silver hair, clear eyes, and you smile. You've finally become what you were always meant to be, your own special person. You whisper to yourself. Freedom doesn't ask for permission. It begins the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who never listened. And as the candle flickers beside you, you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and smile. Because the war is over. And you have won not through anger, but through peace. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes the bravest act of love is learning to love yourself. Subscribe to Soul Whisper, where stories don't just speak, they heal.